paper.
I got it.
You get it?
He's bringing what?
Tape. Tape.
11:53, reconvening capital budget work session. Mr. Superintendent, Deputy Superintendent of Highways.
Well, they're making their way up here.
Board members, or should I say good afternoon?
Good afternoon, I think.
Glenn, hold on a minute.
I can confirm the MSF administrative building is gas heated.
Gas heat,
Right.
natural gas?
Natural gas heated. It was just done last year.
Thank you.
You probably ordered it before you left.
I did.
Okay, as you know, last year, at one time, I approached the board to borrow some money, bond it for road improvements. I handed everybody a packet that showed the roads I would do, the roads that I would additionally add on with the $5 million. Of course, there'll be some changes on this, but this is a good preliminary. I spoke about, our infrastructure is falling apart. My roads are in desperate need of repair. I've taken a few of your councilmen around to see the roads. This year I paved or resurfaced about 32 miles of road with the money I had.
It's an all-time record.
It is. We did
Congratulations.
very well, and that's with the storm. We got it done.
Very good.
With the additional $5 million that I'm trying to bond, about $3 million would go to additional paving. The other $2 million would go to sidewalk and curb repair, where I have roughly about 1,700 complaints on file. I could take care of all those. One lawsuit from those complaints that I have would roughly be $70,000 just in lawyers' fees to address those things.
70,000 or 7,500?
Well, I'm putting in a claim in there that I'm not sure what
Okay.
it would really cost. I'd have to ask Mrs.
All right.
Zola what it would
Well, it
cost. if we had
positively
a-
will cost, there's no doubt about it.
Correct.
I'm not sure about the number.
Me either one. But,
The 1,700, Glenn, that's residential sidewalk complaints that are on that list.
yes, there are.
That's your total complaint list?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I took care of quite a few of them this year. I took care of quite a few that we were on notice for. So those notice ones have, 90% have gone away. I have 1,700 that I'm not on legal notice for, but I have the complaints in my office.
So you basically have your 90% of your notice on done?
Yes.
Hey, that's incredible that you got all that done. And you're
And
gonna finish the last 10 as soon as the weather breaks?
Well, that's not counting with what FEMA will pay for, hopefully, with our trees down. I have quite a few. I have thousands of trees down or so that ruin the sidewalks, but we're gonna take that with federal money, Lou, I think. I get reimbursed for the sidewalks I fix from the FEMA stumps.
We hope.
Correct, okay. All right.
You're saying, just for clarification, if we were to consider a $5 million borrowing, $3 million for road resurfacing,
Yes.
and that would be $3 million over and above the estimated $7.2 million or so
Well,
that we...
no, I usually have about $5 million in paving
Okay.
and $2 million in concrete repair.
Okay.
Right.
That you, in your annual budget?
Yes.
So this would be an additional 3 on
Yes.
top of the 5?
All right. An
And $2 million
additional
for-
2 on top of the 2.
Okay.
Okay.
What kind of timeline would you anticipate it would take to accomplish the additional work? 1 season, 2 seasons?
I believe with that $5 million, I could get it all done this year. I have new asphalt bids that are coming out soon. I think it's going to attract a lot of bidders. We'll have a better price. When the people realize that we're going to spend quite a bit of money in asphalt, I think we'll have a lot of good prices from the asphalt companies, knowing that we anticipate to spending that much.
How'd the price look, up or down?
As to
The price of asphalt?
last year, when I put out
Last year.
I put out a new contract last year,
Right.
and it was good. It was great. In fact, I used to sweep the roads after we milled. That was all included into the contract, so I freed up about 10 or 12 of my own guys where I didn't have to haul the sweepings or sweep the roads. So that was a good thing. I give credit to the union, they worked with us on that, and I was
just
able
gonna
to
ask
give
you,
that work away.
That you will
Yes, I
coordinate
did.
that with the union?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Terrific.
So I freed up a dozen guys to do other work, permanent patch, wherever we needed. Now, years ago, when Mr. Dowling was here, we had a computerized roads rating system. Of course, all my predecessors have let that fall aside. I was part of the original one. When we rated our roads back 15 years ago or more, I had 350 miles of road where I had to do nothing, and only 100 miles of road that I had to do something. That has flip-flopped. Now I have 350 miles of road where I better do something, and 100 miles of road where I really don't have to do anything. And as you know, the more the roads deteriorate, it goes from a maintenance to a resurface, then to a reconstruct. Once we get down to the reconstruct, it costs about $300 and something thousand a mile to do the curbing, to do the sidewalk, and to reconstruct the asphalt, bone mag it, pave it. If I do it now on the roads that I could save, it's about $180,000 a mile. So I think it's essential that we do maintenance and paving. Now, when I talked to the controller, and we talked about this last year, I believe, and I could be wrong, Lou, you're gonna have to straighten me out, but I believe it came out to $12 a year per household to bond that money on an average house of 6,000 assessed valuation.
Well, our assessed valuation has gone down, so we got to
Okay, so-
recalculate that.
All right.
Right.
You know, and then also, you know, that comes out to, in my head, that's 3 cents a day. It's $12 for the year, you know. To me, it brings up the house values. When you have an improved road, the sidewalk is in good shape, the curb is in good shape, the road, it brings up the average house value about $10,000, which is good. I mean, it would bring people to our town. It would be better resale for the people that live here that want to move. To me, it's I'm not going to say it's a must. I know we're at fiscal restraints that we have to look at. We have tax caps that we have to watch, but I'm willing to work all that out with the controller to see where we stand. And to me, it's a no-brainer. And the residents that I talk to, you know, I work 7 days a week. Most of you people know I go out on the weekends. If people have a complaint, I go to their house.
You're not getting any more money.
And I explain to them
That you're not getting any more money.
that $1 a month, they would say, that's the price of a soda per month. They'd all be willing to accept that and hopefully get their roads done. And
Glenn, can you give us any idea how many miles of road have to be reconstructed?
I don't have that right now. I'm starting up the computer program again, and I'll have a better evaluation on what roads have to be
But
reconstructed.
there are a number of roads.
Absolutely, and I have a few in the preliminary last year's budget that I have under reconstruct. And thank God that the winters have been mild, otherwise we'd be losing more ground. So we haven't had a lot of frost and heaving and freezing, which helped us out the last 2 winters. This winter's not over yet, but it's I plan on spending a little bit in every hamlet. So, if you have any other questions?
Well, that 5 million, in your estimation, where would that put us as far as
Well-
that 350 miles that you talked about? So does it put us in, does it get us started? Does it
Well-
put us in the middle of the road?
I see now, because I drive all the roads, right now, that money that I get, we're still in a downcline. We're not making progress. We have to get into the upswing. So that 300 million, that 3 extra million in paving would start us in the upswing, where then the money I get after that, I'll be able to maintain that upswing. But the money that I get now, we lose ground. We lose ground, and, you know, something has to be done.
I can help him clarify what he's trying to quantify. The Highway Department has a grading system that they give to every road. And so let's say it's on a scale of 100. Glenn right now feels that every year he's going down from, say, an 80 to an 80, to a 75 to a 70. He feels that this extra funding would help him maintain at an 80. As he explained, the further down he goes down on the scale to 70, 65, 50, so on and so forth, the more expensive it is to get back up to that 70 or that 80. So that's one of the things he's discussing. But I would just say, one thing that the board needs to consider, if they were to bond, and the highway department as well, that's almost double the amount of road work, and that the highway department would need to be able to administer that. Because there's a real consideration to that there's an awful lot of things that are gonna be going on at the same time.
Correct.
And I just make sure that the highway department is aware that they'd have to do that to the board's
Well, when we
satisfaction.
put out for the bids, we can award multiple people the bid, not just one company. So that's another way of getting those roads done. I shouldn't say this on TV, but I put my reputation on the line that I will get that work done.
Well, Mr. Jorgensen brought up a good point, though. If you borrow $5 to $10 million, okay, between your interest and principal, and you only can have a $60 million tax cap levy at 2%, you got $1.2 million you're allowed to raise taxes. Your principal and interest on what he'd like to get, and he was 100% right, is almost basically going to put you at no money to do anything else if we do that borrowing.
It's possible.
And so we really take it, all of us got to take a
Right.
strict look at it.
That's right.
Because it looks like the economy's coming back. And maybe, we know what we're spending right now, today. If we start getting mortgage tax back to $6, $7, $8 million the way it was, we know what we're spending today. Take that extra mortgage tax, take extra revenue, and start just applying that towards that, and maybe instead of borrowing, if we go over the tax cap. It's something you're gonna have to figure out, Lou, for us, but he was 100% right. You've gotta
Mr.
watch.
McCarthy, I gave us the high end.
Yeah, no, you got.
If you want to bond $3 million, it would still put us in a better spot than we are now.
Well, let's just say we couldn't, because we go over the tax
Right.
cap. I think as we start bringing additional revenues in, you try to keep a third for surplus, and 2/3 start doing what Glenn wants to do. That's my only opinion. I haven't talked to anybody else about it, but we gotta just, we gotta watch. We got a 2% tax cap, and if this, hopefully the Assembly and the state does something for us where they pull our mandated expenses out, that we have a little more wiggle room, but still, we can't tax people out of their homes either. So we're gonna have to, it's gonna be a really fine line we walk, because, people are hurting.
But Tom, that $1 a month doesn't really hurt your tax.
It's
cap.
not really $1 a month.
It is.
Because if you look at, you're looking at a $5,000 some odd dollar assessed value house. There ain't many of those assessed value houses at $5,000 in Smithtown. So it's not really a true $1 a month.
Some would be less.
Yeah, some would be less.
So that's the average, and
I know,
Yeah.
we have to
that's-
basically do a lot of homework on this because, and it's gonna be a big decision to make for everybody.
And that's also looking at things in a vacuum, because there's other things that get increased too. We have
Right.
the general fund increases
absolutely.
and salary increases.
That's what I'm saying, but if you
So-
use 800, 900,000 out of 1.2 you can raise, how do you get your pension? How do you get your medical? How do you get all those other increases and try, believe me, I'd like to do it all. I'd like to say, Glenn, here's $20 million, go out and knock it all out and get it all finished 100%. But that's not prudent. And I don't know if we can do it, but maybe there's a way with the surpluses you found and extra money here and there, there might be a way to, give Glenn something.
Okay.
And then, Mr. McCarthy, all due respect, that over the last few years, I gave back about $1.2 million. That should be in the coffer or
Right.
the contingency or surplus. That
No,
would
you're doing
help
an
us
excellent
a lot,
job, Glenn, believe me. This has nothing to do with you. This has to just be, we got under a 2% constraint, and that really ties everybody's hands drastically. And that's, and it's bad in a way, but it's good in a way. It forces us
I
to
agree.
watch the pennies,
Mr. Necroto, you're going to give us an assessment after you
Yes.
study all this?
Yes.
Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Glenn.
Keep up the good work. Thank you very much.
It's gonna snow tonight, so I have to.
No,
get
the only
to
thing you
work.
haven't brought us
say
is
that.
locusts so far.
I know. It's gonna snow tonight, so I have to make sure that everybody's
ready.
Get some rest.
Ready. You know.
Get
All right,
some
thank you very
rest.
much.
Keep
All
up the
right.
good work.
Thank you,
Glenn.
Glenn. All right, I guess the personnel, this is probably going to be executive session.
I don't know if it is. It's
Where's
a-
Mr. Zola?
Where's Mr. Zola?
He disappeared again. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, John?
Please.
I want to make sure it's,
Well, John, you can just
Rachel.
answer my
May not be.
question, What, you had Eddie on your list?
I just want to go over this policy, this promotion policy.
If we're not
May not be
mentioning names,
executive.
I don't think it would be.
Oh, let's check with John anyway. I don't think it is. I think it's general.
It's not mentioning names and we're mentioning
Yeah, it's not
policies.
names.
No, executive session is for personnel matters for a specific person or persons.
Okay,
This is just a policy, I think it's.
If it's
Yeah.
policy, only no names.
right.
Policy's not too really difficult. We're a civil service town, and our department heads have SAG. You pretty much gotta go from a list, from what I understand, you know, except for laborers, right?
Yeah. I don't think it's executive, but let's just make sure.
Just, I don't know if he sees this until John sees it. It's no sense in running blank. So aren't gonna be mentioning names or anything else. Is that executive session regarding, you know, promotions and so forth and so on? As long as it doesn't mention names,
Just
it can,
policies
it
is open
can
discussion.
stay open
Open
session.
discussion.
All right,
It's
that's
just a
good.
poli, it's just a policy.
Particular employees is executive session.
Okay, that's
Okay,
great.
so this would be, okay, up to the public. Okay,
Can I just finish one thing for Lou? I mentioned to Howie. At the, when we reconstructed the St. James Railroad Station, Lou, about 4 years ago, the company didn't do what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to
Okay.
handle it for a 3-inch rainfall. They didn't, and every storm it floods. Every storm, Lake Avenue floods, and that floods. So you need, when you're talking to Glenn, it's gotta be, have to be something done there, because it's, the cars are underwater, 6, 8 inches of water all the time.
Okay, this is a separate item to be handled
It's something, it's basically a combination highway and parks item that, you know,
for the St. James train station?
Yep. And Mr. Senator Flanagan got us a lot of money to fix that, and unfortunately, our engineering department did it for a 2-inch rainfall, and it should have been a 3-inch. And they advised me that it was done for a 3-inch. Then I went out and checked the calculations myself with my own engineer and found out they did it wrong.
Okay.
Who's the firm that did it? Did we do it ourselves?
Myself. And I was guaranteed it was done for a 3-inch rainfall, Mr. Creighton, and I find out when, just before our engineer was leaving, oh, no, that was only done for a 2-inch, even though he told me it was definitely done for a 3.
It's time to find out when he's leaving.
And I asked him no less than probably 10 times. All right.
So we can do that in-house once they,
Yeah, we'll
Address it.
have to address that. That's probably, okay.
okay, what I'd like to do is,
Can I look in your memo?
I just want to clear up some confusion, because I was a bit confused by this. During the budget process, Mr. Nakota was involved.
That's Lou's memo? Rena?
This is Lou's memo.
June of last year.
Okay.
Right, June. He discussed, when he was going through the budget process with the supervisor, about establishing a policy for promotions for employees. And I could have very well been wrong, but I assumed that that was acceptable in my discussions with Lou, going through our portion of the budget process for the fiscal budget of 2013. And basically, there were a couple caveats that are not important. The important one is that we would agree, as a town board, that if a department head needed to move forward with a promotion, with an employee promotion, that they would understand that they would put the funding in the fiscal year budget at budget time, and the employee would not be promoted until after July 1.
That's exactly what we discussed.
Okay, and the reasoning for this, for the edification of the people in the audience here, is that because we have existing union contracts, and why we wanted to do that was twofold. One was, you now, for the first 6 months of that fiscal year, you save that funding that employee would have been increased to help offset the increase in the second half of the fiscal year. Two, and probably more importantly, in this economic atmosphere, which Mr. McCarthy's been citing, and I agree with him, if these employees are given these promotions prior to July 1, they actually get promoted twice. Once in the first 6 months, and again because of the union contract on July 1st. Now, it doesn't happen to every employee, I understand that. Some employees are what we call redlined in the contract. They get to a certain step, I think it's 11, it's now 16 for new employees. They don't go any further. However, if the promotion they're given is done vertically and they go to a higher classification and they're moved back a step, they in fact wind up getting 2 increases within a 6-month period, which I'm not going to support anymore.
And
That's
there was
not
ano-
happening,
Sorry.
that's not happening anywhere that I'm aware of in this economic atmosphere.
And there was another reason you did it for also. That first 6 months helps us pay for the accruals of their sick and
That's
vacation
correct.
time that goes out.
That's
And
correct.
that was the other reason for it.
The reason I bring it up to my colleagues here is because I then get a memo and also 4 resolutions in the Minitrack system for me to approve, because I'm the liaison to the Parks Department, asking to do this exact procedure with 4 employees. And it met with some resistance by the department when I said that we're not going to do this. So all I'm here this afternoon is to recodify that we're all in agreement that this is the way we want to go. I think it's a prudent way to move. The employees can certainly understand our position, the residents' position in Smithtown, and after July 1st, they'll get their necessary promotion, but not before.
You know, I'm thinking as you're saying that, because someone thinks they're gonna get a promotion, and all of a sudden they don't get it, so the morale goes down the toilet. So what you could do is, those people that are on that particular list, if everybody agrees upon, they are gonna get that promotion July 1.
After
In
July.
the March meeting, state their new position, and as of July 1, they're in it. So they know that it's not being forgotten about by basically management, which
Sure.
we are, and
Sure.
they're July 1, they're gonna get the new title.
No, we can-
And
we-
basically it helps morale.
Yeah, we can put the resolution on any time, but the effective date
After the
should
1st of
be
July.
after July 1.
It's important to keep
For
the morale
all those
up.
reasons. And that should be, in my opinion, and I thought it was, and maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, doesn't make any difference. We're going to talk about it right here and either agree or disagree.
But I
believe-
agree that we all agreed on that, and I believe, and I don't want to put any words in his mouth, I believe the supervisor agreed
Oh,
with
he
that.
did.
He did. It was
Okay.
really his idea.
So moving forward, I don't want to, beat this to death, but we're in agreement that department head should be notified. That is going to be the procedure.
Okay.
Am I correct in?
That's fine. And then also, it makes it consistent throughout the town, so it makes it easier for me to, budget for these items, and then also to handle the department heads' requests, where I already know, now this is our policy. Because the memo was recommending things
Correct.
that we ought to pursue, but I can't make that policy all by myself.
Correct.
So I'm fine, I'm actually happy to see this implemented, because again, the consistency makes it easier for me to administer it, and to, help the departments with their budgeting. And then, again, yeah, I think we'll see some savings in those first 6 months that we don't have to contend with, like you said, as you mentioned, 2 raises, 2 increases, and then also, the initial increase coming in the middle of the year.
And I can see if you signing off on it, realistically, you might as well just go to July 5th, because why should we pay for a holiday for a brand-new employee?
Correct.
10 seconds in,
Okay?
July 5th. And then you basically, let's put it on resolution on, and say, listen, Mr. Jones, you're gonna be an AEO as of, July 5th. And that way they know they're gonna get it, they're not sitting there,
And
upset.
and also,
Morale is very important,
I understand.
Yeah.
Also will come your way, too. There'll be exigent circumstances from time to time.
absolutely.
We
You'd have
understand
to
that.
consider on an individual basis.
Yes.
Somebody's list is expiring.
Correct.
Right.
There's
Just
a
like we
real
did with
need.
Peter Hans, we had to put him on because his promotion,
Mm-hmm.
because the list was expiring on the 31st.
And I think we all understand that.
Okay.
We know that may happen, it's very infrequent, but it may. This is just a general policy. I would like to just reinstitute the memo if the board agrees, send it out to department heads, letting them know that this is, I don't know if that has to be done, Mr. Zolo, by resolution or.
No, it's a policy.
It's
No
a policy.
resolutions required.
So if we agree, I think we should just recodify the memo, send it out to department heads so everybody understands.
And in
what we're
there,
doing.
like Lou said, if there's an emergency situation, bring it to your liaison. Your liaison will bring it up at a board meeting before it's
Absolutely.
even just put in the minute track.
Sure, and that eliminates it all.
Okay.
Agreed?
Great.
Thank you. That's
All
all I
in favor
have.
of that?
I have,
Aye.
I just have one thing. If we wanted to talk on the town engineer, will that need to be executive?
Yeah, that would have to be executive, if you're talking
Okay.
about a particular name.
All right.
All right, so we'll move into executive session. All in
Executive
favor?
section.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
12:18, executive session. $12:37, move, close executive session and
Second.
work session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.